Every day, Angola pumps more than 1 million barrels of crude oil from its offshore fields, making it one of Africa's biggest oil producers. Yet for years, much of the gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel used inside the country arrived on ships from overseas. Angola sold its crude to the world, then spent billions buying back refined fuel at a much higher price. That raises an obvious question: how can a country with vast oil reserves still depend on fuel imports to keep its economy moving? The answer lies in a refining industry that never kept pace with Angola's growing energy needs. For decades, one aging refinery carried almost the entire burden while demand continued to climb. As fuel imports increased, so did government spending, pressure on foreign currency reserves, and the risk of shortages whenever global markets face disruption. Now, Angola is trying to change that equation. The country has launched one of the largest refining expansion programs in its history, and China has become one of its most important partners through financing, engineering, construction, and energy cooperation. But can rebuilding Angola's refining industry finally end its dependence on imported fuel? Why has China invested so heavily in this sector? And could these projects turn Angola into a fuel supplier for much of southern Africa? To understand why Angola is investing billions in new refineries today, it helps to look at how the country's oil industry developed over the last several decades. Angola gained independence from Portugal in 1975, but independence did not bring stability. Almost immediately, the country entered a civil war that lasted until 2002. Nearly 3 decades of conflict damaged roads, railways, ports, power networks, and industrial facilities. While offshore oil production continued because most operations were located far from the fighting, investment in domestic manufacturing and refining remained limited. As a result, Angola built a strong crude oil export industry, but never developed enough refining capacity to process that oil at home. For decades, the country's refining sector depended almost entirely on a single facility, the Luanda Refinery. Located near the capital, it was originally built in 1958 during Portuguese colonial rule. Although the refinery received several upgrades over the years, its processing capacity remained relatively small compared with Angola's growing energy needs. Today, after modernization work, the refinery has a capacity of around 65,000 barrels per day. That figure may sound impressive until you compare it with Angola's oil production. While the country pumps more than 1 million barrels of crude every day, the Luanda refinery could process only a small fraction of that total. Most of Angola's crude therefore continued its journey onto export tankers rather than into domestic fuel production. Meanwhile, demand inside Angola kept increasing. After the civil war ended in 2002, the country entered a period of reconstruction. New highways connected major cities, ports expanded, airports handled more passengers, and construction activity accelerated. Mining projects required heavy machinery that consumed large amounts of diesel. Public transport systems grew, freight traffic increased, and private vehicle ownership rose steadily as the economy recovered. Every one of these sectors depended on refined petroleum products. Since domestic refining capacity barely changed, imports increased year after year. The economic logic became increasingly difficult to ignore. Officials also recognized another risk. Depending heavily on overseas refineries meant Angola's fuel supply could be affected by events far beyond its borders. Global shipping disruptions, refinery outages, geopolitical tensions, or sudden price swings could all affect fuel availability at home. Building more refineries offered a way to reduce those risks. The challenge, however, was enormous. Modern refineries are among the most complex industrial facilities in the world. They require advanced engineering, sophisticated processing equipment, massive storage systems, marine terminals, pipeline networks, and billions of dollars in financing. Angola could not complete such projects alone, which is why it began looking for international partners with both the capital and the technical expertise to help turn its plans into reality. That's where China comes in. However, China's involvement in Angola did not begin with refineries. It started more than 2 decades ago when the country faced the enormous task of rebuilding after the Civil War. Years of conflict had left much of the country's infrastructure damaged or outdated. At the same time, China was expanding its economic ties across Africa while searching for reliable sources of energy to support its rapidly growing economy. The partnership that followed became one of the largest between China and any African country. In 2004, Angola secured a $2 billion credit line from the Export-Import Bank of China. The financing supported reconstruction projects across the country, and additional agreements followed in the years that came after. Chinese companies built highways, repaired railways such as the Benguela Railway, expanded power infrastructure, constructed public buildings, and upgraded water supply systems. Many of these loans were backed by future oil exports. Under this arrangement, Angola continued supplying crude oil while using the financing to rebuild critical infrastructure. The model attracted international attention because it allowed Angola to secure large amounts of capital at a time when traditional financing options were limited. As trade expanded, China quickly became Angola's largest export market. For many years, it ranked among China's biggest crude oil suppliers, often shipping hundreds of thousands of barrels per day to Chinese refineries. Although China's imports now come from a wider range of suppliers, Angola remains one of Beijing's most important energy partners in Africa. But as the relationship matured, it also began to change. Instead of focusing only on extracting and exporting crude oil, both countries saw an opportunity to develop more of Angola's energy industry inside the country. Refining crude locally would create additional value, reduce dependence on imported fuels, and support its broader industrial goals. That shift matched China's growing role overseas. Chinese companies were no longer participating only in oil production. They had gained experience building large refineries, petrochemical complexes, storage terminals, pipelines, ports, and power facilities across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Many of these firms could provide engineering, procurement, construction services, industrial equipment, and in some cases financing as part of a single package. For Angola, that combination was attractive. Building a modern refinery is not simply about installing processing units. It also requires storage tanks capable of holding millions of barrels of crude and refined products, pipelines linking the refinery to ports and distribution networks, marine terminals for oil tankers, power generation systems, water treatment facilities, and highly trained operators to run the plant safely around the clock. China's state-owned engineering companies had already completed projects on this scale in multiple countries, giving Angola access to experience that would have taken years to develop domestically. This growing cooperation set the stage for the country's most ambitious refining projects in decades. Among them, one project stood above the rest, not because of its size alone, but because of what it could mean for Angola's future. On the Atlantic coast, the long-delayed Lobito refinery was preparing to move from decades of planning toward reality. For years, the Lobito refinery existed more as an idea than a construction project. The refinery was first proposed in the 2000s, when Angola recognized that the Luanda refinery alone could never satisfy the country's growing fuel demand. Lobito, located in Benguela province on Angola's Atlantic coast, quickly emerged as the preferred location. The city already had one of the country's largest deepwater ports, established rail connections through the Benguela Railway, and direct access to international shipping routes. On paper, the location made perfect sense. Yet the project repeatedly stalled. Changes in government priorities, financing challenges, and swings in global oil prices delayed construction for years. The government eventually decided the delay could not continue. In 2023, Angola awarded the engineering, procurement, and construction contract to a consortium led by China National Chemical Engineering Company, working alongside KBR from the United States. The decision marked one of the biggest steps forward since the project was first announced. The refinery is expected to cost around $6.6 billion, making it one of the largest industrial investments in Angola's history. A significant portion of the financing comes from Chinese lenders, continuing the long-standing economic partnership between the two countries. It is designed with a planned processing capacity of 200,000 barrels of crude oil per day. To understand its scale, compare that with the Luanda refinery's current capacity of around 65,000 barrels per day. Once operational, Lobito alone would process more than 3 times as much crude as Angola's only long-standing refinery. That additional capacity could transform the country's fuel balance. Any production beyond local consumption could also be exported to neighboring countries, creating an entirely new source of revenue. The refinery will process Angolan crude into a range of products, including gasoline, diesel, aviation fuel, liquefied petroleum gas, and other petroleum products needed by households, transportation networks, mining companies, and industries across the country. Construction is already well underway. As of 2026, the project is roughly 23% complete, with the Angolan government targeting 2027 for the start of commercial operations. Its location adds another major advantage. Lobito sits along the Lobito Corridor, one of Africa's most important transport routes. The corridor links Angola's Atlantic coast with the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Zambia through rail and road networks. Both neighboring countries have large mining industries that consume significant volumes of diesel and other refined fuels. While the Lobito Refinery is the largest project in Angola's refining expansion plan, it is not the only one. The government has launched several refinery projects at the same time, hoping to build enough capacity to meet domestic demand and eventually supply fuel to regional markets. One of the most important is the Cabinda Refinery. Located in Cabinda Province, Angola's northern oil-producing enclave, the refinery sits close to many of the country's offshore oil fields. Building a refinery near the source of production reduces transportation costs and allows crude oil to reach processing facilities more quickly. Unlike Lobito, the Cabinda project follows a phased approach. The first phase is designed to process around 30,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Future expansion plans could increase total capacity to 60,000 barrels per day, depending on market demand and investment conditions. Together with the Luanda and Lobito refineries, Cabinda forms part of Angola's broader target of building a refining sector capable of processing hundreds of thousands of barrels of crude each day. Chinese companies have also become increasingly involved across Angola's wider energy industry. China has financed and built highways that connect industrial zones, upgraded sections of the Benguela Railway that transport goods to and from the port of Lobito, expanded power generation projects, and supported urban development in several provinces. These investments help create the supporting infrastructure that large industrial projects require to operate efficiently. That broader approach matters because a refinery cannot function in isolation. It needs reliable electricity every hour of the day. It requires modern ports capable of handling large crude oil tankers. Pipelines must transport crude into the refinery and move finished products to storage terminals. Roads and railways then carry those fuels to businesses and consumers across the country. Without those supporting systems, even the most modern refinery cannot operate efficiently. Now, what is clear is that Angola is trying to move beyond exporting raw resources and toward building more of its industrial future at home. But do you think China is helping Angola build a stronger energy industry? Or is this mainly about securing long-term influence in Africa? Could Angola become one of the continent's leading refining hubs over the next decade? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.